So you mentioned Smollett in the first segment. Then, you go back to that whole nonsense, and he lied the whole time. He's still lying. He's still out there lying about the whole thing. But for me, at least, I think you too, Bernard, you can't help but think about that sham of an interview he did with Robin Roberts on Good Morning America on ABC. She was disgusting that day. I mean, please.
Yeah, I mean, at that time, she knew it was a hoax. And she still went through with the interview.
Of course. And cried.
And pretended that like he was actually a victim.
Right. So we find out yesterday that this lowlife R. Kelly, and he's been a lowlife for a long time. Listen, you may like some of his music. I don't care. I'm not a big fan of that music. You guys know that. I make that very, very clear. It's not a racial thing. Eminem is white. Last I checked, I can't stand him either.
R. Kelly sings ballads. I mean, I
don't know what he sings. I couldn't care less. I love ballads.
It's like love songs. I mean, give me a break.
Well, I love ballads, but
his suck.
His suck, okay. Well, he's going to jail for 30 years. And much like I just mentioned the Smollett Robin Roberts interview, when you the only thing I can think of with R. Kelly, besides the fact that he is a predator and a rapist and a terrible, terrible person, was the interview he did with Gayle King. You notice, by the way, a trend here. Jesse Smollett, a criminal, a black guy doing an interview with Robin Roberts, black female, Good Morning America. R. Kelly, black guy doing an interview with Gayle King, black woman, CBS. Just a little bit of a trend there. But
it never occurred to me. But,
yeah, right.
But now that you point it out, Sidney.
Now, you remember that interview, right? How crazy he got?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. Off the charts, yeah.
Well, just in case people forgot, because, again, he is guilty and a 30-year sentence. And sometimes, I guess, Bernard, putting on a very good offense is the best defense. It didn't work for R. Kelly here, nor did I think it would. But just to kind of bring you back, this is courtesy of CBS and Gayle King, who was referring to him, by the way, as Robert the whole time, as if they were like she was his mother or his aunt. Oh, Robert. Oh, please calm down, Robert. Anyway, this is, we got two cuts of R. Kelly and Gayle King just to bring you back, as again he found out yesterday, he going to jail for a long time.
So I think the point you're making is, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you have never held anybody against their will.
I don't need to. Why would I?
Well,
how stupid would it be for R. Kelly, with all I've been through in my way, way past, to hold somebody, let alone 4, 5, 6, 50, you said. How stupid would I be to do that?
I didn't say you were holding.
That's stupid, guys. Is this camera on me?
Yes. It's on.
That's stupid. Use your common sense. Don't forget the blogs. Forget how you feel about me. Hate me if you want to, love me if you want, but just use your common sense. How stupid would it be for me to, with my crazy past and what I've been through, right now I just think I need to be a monster and hold girls against their will, chain them up in my basement, and don't let them eat and don't let them out unless they need some shoes down the street from their uncle.
Well, they got to get shoes from the uncle, of course. You understand that. But so there you go. What kind of idiot would I be? Well, the type of idiot that did exactly what they said you did. But then you may remember as the interview progressed, he started to really get agitated. And at one point, he gets up and he slams down the microphone and he's yelling and screaming. Once again, just to refresh your memory, here he is, R. Kelly, courtesy of CBS.
I didn't do this stuff. This is not me, y'all. I'm fighting for my life. Y'all killing me with this. I gave y'all 30 years of my career.
Robert.
30 years of my career. Y'all trying to kill me.
Yeah.
You killing me, man. This is not about music.
No.
I'm trying to have a relationship with my kids, and I can't do it.
No. Well, stop having relationships with everybody else's kids.
You just don't want to believe the truth. You don't want to believe it.
Well, there it is.
I believe I can fly.
Oh, I do like that song. That's it.
Yeah. Well,
I like that song.
He can fly out of the yard in Joliet Prison in Illinois. But hey, listen, everything he said made sense. But that criminals are not rational people, or sick. People who are sick are not rational. I mean, why would I put cocaine up my nose? I got a perfectly healthy body. I could just drink beer and get high on that. Why would I do that?
Yeah.
That would be stupid, man. Well, people do it, and you did it, and it's on tape. I mean, and there's a preponderance of accusers They didn't coordinate, with each other.
No.
It was all pretty much all independent stuff. And again, the videotape doesn't lie. So he finally got his comeuppance. And everything he said made sense. But again, low lives, degenerates, they're not rational people.
No. Now, Ghislaine Maxwell got 20 years, I guess. He got 30. She doesn't, there's no tape of her acting like that. I remember, like, during the O.J. Simpson trial, people were like, well, wait a second. If he didn't do this, O.J., wouldn't he be yelling and screaming about how much he loved his wife? I would never do that. And he seemed, throughout that whole trial, kind of sedated. It was like, if you remember the Mike Tyson interview with Barbara Walters, and he was sitting next to Robin Givens at the time he was married to her. They had this guy on so many drugs, he could barely speak that night, Mike Tyson. And that was basically O.J. throughout the whole trial. Now, as it turned out, he got off because Johnny Cochran, the genius, made the trial about some cop being a racist and not about a double murder trial. But people wanted to see that type of reaction out of O.J. Simpson. But he got off. He didn't do that. R. Kelly did that, and he's still going to prison. So you just don't know, do you, Bernie?
No, you can't never tell. No, but it's because of the evidence. I mean, you can take any demeanor you like, but evidence is evidence, and there was a preponderance of evidence, videotape, testimony, all of it. So he never stood a chance. And he knew it. And that's why he was so frustrated and pissed off. But, it is tragic. It's sad because he's right. You're R. Kelly. You're making all that money. You don't need to do that with women. But apparently it's some sort of sickness.
Yeah. Well, it's power. I mean, look, he could have anybody he wanted back then. You good-looking guy.
Exactly.
He made millions of dollars. I'm sure every time he walked out of a club, there were 50 women standing outside that side entrance willing to do anything he wanted. Yes. But there is that power. Rapists, when they're interviewed, a lot of them say the same thing. It's not even about the sex. Nothing to do with that. It's about the power. And that's what R. Kelly clearly needed. 1-800.
But listen, but Ghislaine, you got to mention Ghislaine, though.
Yeah.
Whereas R. Kelly had, he had all these victims come forward. With Ghislaine Maxwell, you had a lot of victims come forward, but none of the clients, none of the perpetrators. Why is that? That is very strange. That's very bizarre.
You mean like Bill Clinton,
yes.
Prince Andrew?
Andrew or anybody. You name it. Not one person, not one client. Why is that? Because they're all affiliated with the Democrats?
Yes.
There's something sick. That is a problem in this country that she was convicted and not one client was even identified. There's something wrong there. I don't trust this. And it reverts back to Epstein himself.
Yeah.
Did he kill himself? I'm starting to have real doubts now.
He did kill himself. There's no question.
But they didn't. Well, where are the clients? We'll ask Joe Tacopina. But where the hell are the clients?
Well, Tacopina thinks it's ridiculous that I think he killed himself. But
why were they not named?
Of course.
Why were the clients not
named?
Listen,
100%. This is a huge cover-up, And by the way, it is very akin, if you will, to a story going on right now, which is the Paul Pelosi story. Who was in the car with Paul Pelosi? Why is the DA out in Los Angeles so hesitant to give us any information? Once again, Democrat Nancy Pelosi, she was with the Pope yesterday. She may as well ask for forgiveness right now because much like the Epstein story, we're not hearing any of the truths coming out of the Pelosi story, and it's the same thing.
We want the body cam. Get the body cam. There was a witness. Who was the witness in the middle of, grapevines? It was somebody who was in Pelosi's car. That's who the witness was. They don't want you to see that. They don't want you to see him, touching his nose and counting backwards from 10, that type of thing. Right. That's what they're hiding that stuff. It's embarrassing. But the witness part, he clearly had somebody in the car. And who was it? Was it a Guma? Who knows? But that's another huge cover up. But that in the grand scheme of things, that's just embarrassing. But with the Ghislaine Maxwell thing, those guys all belong in jail. All of the clients, and they were not named, and that's a problem.
Agreed. All right, so Joe Tacopina will stop by at 7:40 alone. His son Joseph won't make it. Bill O'Reilly coming up at 8:40. Of course, Lydia Reports comes your way at 8:25. And Beat Bernie, your chance at cash and prizes, thanks to Pete Morgan and Peerless Boilers. That comes your way at 9:40. So a great hour number one. 3 more great hours to come. Bernie and Sid on a Thursday.